Yeah, which looks like, depending on how the matchups go, the Bills would face most likely the Bengals, depending on how these games shake out. But let's pivot to the first of the playoff games outside of this game, which is the Seahawks and 49ers. 49ers are favored at 9.5. Seahawks over under 42.5. Seahawks are happy to be here. This is a rebuilding team that snuck their way into the playoffs. They beat the Rams to clinch that spot, and then with the Lions win, got themselves the playoff spot. Geno Smith playing the best football he's ever played. Comeback player of the year, absolutely. And we get the 49ers with Brock Purdy, 7th-string guy who's turned out to be better than both the quarterbacks that they started over him. Deebo Samuel came back last game. He's going to add some wrinkles in that team. And then obviously that defense.
Yeah, not only has he been better than the quarterbacks they have chosen to start over him, he has been the number one quarterback in QBR since they started him. So Brock Purdy, statistically, QBR-wise, has been the number one quarterback in the NFL since he took the field. He only really had one close game that was versus the Raiders. I do worry about the 49ers just because it feels like they really haven't been tested. However, one of those games was on the road in Seattle where they handled their business. It was closer than I thought it would be, but going into this game, Seattle's overachieving this year. This is a rebuild this year. This is a game where they can push all the chips to the table and just throw it all on the line there because you have good enough players on offense to compete. You saw the 49ers get exposed a little bit on defense with just that trick play they fell for with David Blau, and then getting lit up by Jarrett Stidham in that fluke game that he had in his career. So it's like the Seattle, they have a lot of momentum coming into this game. And then when you see flashes of Geno Smith running with the ball, you have someone like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, and then you have solid tight ends on your team. It's like, okay, Seattle coming into the playoffs, and then there's something to be said. Now we need to see Brock Purdy with all the pressure on him. No one expects Seattle to win this game. It's a close divisional matchup. Kyle Shanahan, one thing that's criticism is he has some clock management issues going up against Pete Carroll. This is going to be a really interesting game. The spread's at 9.5. I have a feeling Seattle's going to cover. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, see, this is a game I agree with because, first of all, anytime it's a divisional matchup, I feel like it's already going to be close. Mm-hmm. And then, because you're familiar with them. Right. But then also, for the Seahawks, it's like their defense, kind of middle of the road. I would compare them like to how the Titans were in 2019. Like, defense is pretty good. They got some nice players, Tariq Woolen, Andre Diggs, a couple other guys as well. But their offense, they have somebody like Kenneth Walker who can run it down your throat. You have the speed of DK Metcalf where any given play, he can take it to the house. Tyler Lockett's a solid receiver, and Noah Fant's a nice tight end. So they have the talent on offense, and Geno Smith can get the ball to anybody he wants. Made some really nice throws against the Rams in Week 18. So also a team that's playing with house money, which there's plenty of teams in the playoffs this year that are playing with house money. That's scary for a team like the 49ers where if they lose this game, it's a choke job. I understand that it's like Brock Purdy. He's a 7th-round pick. He's undefeated so far as a quarterback. Best QBR since starting, all that good stuff. But the 49ers, it's Super Bowl or bust. You traded for Christian McCaffrey. You have all the talent in the world on both sides of the ball. You have Kyle Shanahan, who's considered one of the best coaches in the NFL. That's a scary game. I definitely take the Seahawks to cover this game, 9.5. I think that's a lock. I still think the 49ers are going to pull out a win. But don't be surprised if the Seahawks give them trouble.
Yeah, especially coming into the playoffs out of the gate. My thing is when you have Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk, we saw how he stepped up. And then you throw in someone that no one who watches football casually will know, Janoris Jaquan Jennings. Also their third wide receiver. He's played really well in the absence of Deebo Samuel. And then Christian McCaffrey has been electric for them. And the struggle for the Seattle Seahawks has been their run defense. That's a problem when you're going up against Kyle Shanahan, who's probably the best coach at scheming run plays in the NFL today. And they have Elijah Mitchell, who's played well, Christian McCaffrey, who's the best pass-catching back, then Deebo Samuel, who's the best running back who can play, or best wide receiver who comes out of the backfield at running back, and then George Kittle. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention has been on an absolute tear the past few weeks. It seems like as soon as Brock Purdy stepped up there, George Kittle's been playing out of his mind. He's been getting touchdowns left and right. Every single game I've seen George Kittle make a huge play like we're used to him seeing. He's someone who struggled with injuries. And he was hurt earlier this year. He was hurt last year, but now when he's healthy, he's one of the best tight ends in the league, and the stats prove it. When you look at the first few years where at this point in his career compared to Travis Kelce, the numbers are basically identical, and that's with Travis Kelce having Patrick Mahomes. So George Kittle, when he gets a quarterback who's actually going to feed him the ball and let him do what he can do, he's taking it 50 yards to the house. And for your tight end, that's unheard of. And he's running option routes. You go this way, I'll go that way. Let's read the defense with Christian McCaffrey. And not a lot of people are paying attention to it, but the chemistry between him and C-Mac, knowing where to go in the middle of the field, and Brock Purdy has been off the charts. So it's like, this is a game where you have one of the best coaches in your conference. You have the best running back in the playoffs right now in the NFC. You have the best tight end in the NFC. You have one of the best wide receivers in the playoffs. So it's like in tandem, and you have the best defense in the league. There's no way you can lose this game.
That's true. In the event, let's do the hypothetical again.